Joining us now, the Chief of Pediatric Neurosurgery at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, Dr. Jay Wellens. He's also President-elect of the American Society of Pediatric Neurosurgeons. Dr. Wellens was in the emergency room Monday waiting for any victims of the shooting at that little school to arrive. Doctor, thank you for being with us this morning. You've written and spoken quite a bit about what you've seen in emergency rooms, about what the AR-15 does to the human body, and the difference, what it does to an adult even, and a child. To the extent you can describe it on television, what does it do?
Well, I'm very grateful to you all for shining a light on this issue, because it's one of substance and it's profound. You mentioned that I was in the emergency room. I was one of 30, just one member of a team, anesthesiologists and pediatric surgeons and pediatric ER specialists and nurses. I got a text, sometime between 10 and 11. About 6 or 7 texts in a row, one from my team that was already down there saying, mass casualty report, report to ER. And I quickly got a phone call from the chief of staff that said, Jay, this is not a drill. This is real. And so, we practice for this just like all hospitals do, all children's hospitals. Trauma is a real thing. We take care of a lot of injuries to children for car accidents and all types of issues in both rural and urban states. But the reality of this is that we go down to the ER, we get in our designated spots, we're ready. And you watch that video of those 2 policemen who just ran towards the fire, and they did their job. It just gives you such this sense of pride, right, as a doctor and as a parent. And that's that same sense of what all of our healthcare providers here want to do. We want to save those kids. And the issue with assault weapons is it's twofold. It's the gun and it's the bullet. And so what I mean by that is, the gun is large capacity, it's high velocity, and it's low recoil. And what that means is you have a lot of bullets, they move very fast, and when you don't have a lot of recoil, there's no kick, so to speak. And so you can, quote, pump a lot of bullets without it moving off target. And those bullets are moving fast. And when they hit, tissue, they move through the softer tissue, and they do what's called cavitation. So they cavitate, they hit the body and they fragment. And when that happens, there's an area, and you can see it on the simulation, like basically a blast of air cavitates such that it enlarges the area of damage, and that's from the speed of the bullet and the way the bullet is fragmenting, so that the entrance wound is small, but the exit wound is giant. And so you can imagine what that does to a lung, because that's the biggest body mass. Like children and teachers aren't wearing body armor, so the lung and the chest is going to be the place that gets injured. And that's going to cause a great deal of damage. And there are a lot of large blood vessels that are in that area. You can also imagine what a bullet does to the brain. A small bullet entrance on one side can basically cause a giant exit wound on the other. And in that Time magazine piece, we can't show pictures of this. It's awful. So, people say that, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so the decision there was to try to, use 1,000 words to try to paint a picture, try to get a sense of this sense of how we can't do anything. When these children are killed at the scene, I just feel for our paramedics and I feel for our firemen, because they're in that bucket line too. First it's the teachers that act, and they're taught, and then it's the paramedics that, and then it's the police that act, and then it's the paramedics, and then it's the hospital. So it's this long bucket line of getting these children to help. And if they die at the scene because of this injury that happens, then we can't do what we're trained to do.
All right. Chief of Pediatric Neurosurgery at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Dr. Jay Wellens, thank you very much for being here. We greatly appreciate it.